Thanks for joining me to learn a little bit more about General Assembly 2026, the first intentionally online General Assembly. We're all growing into this new thing. Um, I'm happy to take your questions. I have a few introductory comments and then we'll open it up for questions. Um, for those of you who are familiar with General, you'll recognize this is a new model. General Assembly for the last 50 some years has met every 2 years. Now we're moving to a model where we'll meet annually, at least once a year online, and every 3 years that online meeting will be hybrid. So it'll be both online and at a location. The next one of those is in 2028. The goal is that we might be able to use technology to connect more people more often. It does mean that there's lower cost for the assembly. It's not no cost. Online venues, platforms cost money. Speakers still cost money. There's not as much fun swag that will be handed out, so I guess that won't cost anybody any money. But the other things cost money, but there's a lot less time spent traveling, a lot less spent on hotels, dinners in downtown locations, gas, airfare, etc. And so we're hoping by removing those challenges, more of us will be able to gather together from more congregations. And just remember that is what General Assembly is about. It is about a gathering of as much of the church as we can gather. It's a collection of our ministries, our congregations, our regional ministries, our general ministries, and our leaders. All of you are voting delegates of the General Assembly. In fact, if you're not aware of this, it bears repeating. Our General Assembly, we are the largest denomination truly broad-based represent of voting members, voting delegates at our General Assembly. Only denomination our size that has representatives from every congregation, every region, every general ministry, and includes all of the clergy as voting delegates. Even our closest sibling denomination, the United Church of Christ, has elected delegates that represent associations, not congregations, and not all of their clergy are voting delegates at their general gathering. So, but that's hard to do, and it's expensive to do. And frankly, in recent years, we've not gotten representatives from all 3,000 of our congregations or a majority of our clergy to gather together at one time. I think this is a new thing. We're going to grow into it. It'll adapt in some ways over the coming 5 years. I will say this. I think that the mindset of it is very similar to disciple, which is a vision that predates me in our region back to the early 2000s. When we said, how could we do ministry together? And part of that idea was that as disciples together, we would get together more often. And so the regional assembly would happen every year as an all-congregational gathering. And it would be a place to share ideas and encourage one another in ministry. I also think that Disciples Together model presumes our annual Ministers' Institute. It is notable in our region that a significant portion of our clergy gather together once a year. Well over half of our serving clergy come together for 2 or 3 days early each year. It's not something we should take for granted. I certainly don't. And I think it's an important way that we connect with each other. This new General Assembly model is attempting to do that, at least in some ways, throughout the whole of the church. So I'm going to stop with my preliminary comments and just see if there are any burning questions that I can answer. And then I have a list of some questions I anticipated, and if you don't ask them, I'll ask them instead and answer them.
I had one of my delegates, I guess they got on yesterday at noon or 1 or something like that, about being a area church and bringing more, I
Sure.
got called today, and it's just like, I think we're going to have to go through some things to do this. But yeah, I don't think it'd be a problem. We have a very large Zoom. It's all on Zoom, right?
Well, it's not technically on Zoom. The platform is called Good something. I can't
Okay.
forget the exact name of the platform that's being used. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not even good. There it is. Big Marker. That's the
Big
company
mark.
that
Okay.
is
Okay.
preparing the platform. Um, Oops, it's not on that page. I'm going to share my screen as soon as I find the helpful page. Yes, I mean, they're calling them, the general church is calling it local gatherings.
Okay.
Um, and I know that I believe there are two or three congregations that are looking to do that in the Des Moines area. I know there are a couple of congregations that are thinking about just doing it for themselves, for their minister and their congregational
Mm-hmm.
delegates in their church building. Oops, there's share. So on one of the web pages, it's actually the web page that has the schedule for the
Okay.
assembly. If you go down on that page, it says more to know as you prepare.
Okay.
And so it gives you some immediate things about local gatherings, but the key thing is clicking on this where it says this form, and that way you can let the general church, particularly the tech people, know that you're planning on doing this so
Okay.
that they can give you the tech information that you're going to want in order to set a pace appropriately.
Okay.
I moved there's a few of those details on this thing as if you fill out that form that'll
Okay.
connect you or the appropriate leaders in the congregation with the general church to help with that. I will say that the tech team has been working for about 2 years together to try and imagine how to make this possible. They're the ones who kind of created a list of what they thought was necessary and then went out looking for the appropriate company to have, the appropriate platform,
Yeah.
online platform. And that's part of the way they found this company, Big Marker. Also, Big Marker has a significant nonprofit element
Okay.
to it. So I think that was appealing as well. But more than that, I know that this company has been very responsive, working with the tech team and the planning team. And so, for example, voting, they built it into the platform. Originally, it was thought that we were going to do it perhaps by email or some other means, but they were able
Oh,
to
okay.
build the uh, a voting module, one that identifies specific people voting, so that it's one person, one vote.
Yeah.
Not that we have anything terribly controversial at this General Assembly,
No.
but just to do that appropriately. So they've worked well to adapt the platform to hopefully work really well for this. And so I know that part of what is appealing about this for simplicity is that it is web based. And so while you do need an internet connection, you just need it's a web browser based. You just need to be able to open Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or one of those internet browser
Okay.
things, and you just type in the address or they'll send you a link, and you'll hit the link and it'll open in that window. That way you don't have to
Okay.
download any special software. Um, None of that. Basically, as long as you have an up-to-date browser, um, it'll run on whatever device you run it on a tablet, on a phone, on a laptop, on a desktop. If you've got a desktop plugged into your display system,
Yeah.
some of our congregations do. It'll work on all of those.
Okay.
The big thing with the local gatherings is they've been particularly mindful of trying to figure out how people can speak up, because at General Assembly, when we have debate time, there are multiple microphones that you can go to speak to the assembly in favor or against whatever's being discussed. In order to allow for that, they're encouraging the host sites to have basically two different rooms. There's the main gathering room where you'll gather and
Mm-hmm.
watch things, but then move the speaking to the assembly to a separate room. I will say, as somebody who's on Zoom a lot, we frequently get audio feedback, right? If somebody's got a
Yeah.
weird connection in their window, or particularly if they've got their phone and their computer on at the same time, and that will prevent that from being that problem.
Okay.
Basically, one room is all audio and video output. The other room would be audio and video input. So hopefully they wouldn't. So you would need two devices for that, but I'm told, no, I don't have my phone with me, but I'm told that one of those devices can simply be a smartphone. It does
Okay.
not have to be a fancy laptop or tablet or anything. A smartphone will suffice for that. So, I appreciate that they've thought about kind of simplicity for people who are not as tech savvy as they are.
Yeah. Okay, that's
And a
good.
little bit more. Oh, go ahead.
It's just that's good because I know we have some people that are just not tech savvy, and I know we have somebody that's probably going to run everything for us, but I don't
Mhm.
know how much everybody else knows.
And on the web, there were two information settings about the technology back in March.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was recorded, and I know that that recording is available on the General Church website on one of the General Assembly pages. There are 4 General Assembly pages. They're easy to get to. There are actually a number of sub pages related to that, but there are primary. I'm going to show those as long as I can share my screen. Excuse me. So I'm going to show you how you get there. So if you go to disciples.org, this is our denomination's homepage right now. And if you go right across the top, one of the pull-down menus is 2026 GA. You don't even have to pull down. If you just click on 2026 GA, it will bring you to this page, which has the promotional video for this year's assembly, the registration link, and a few other details. The pull-down menus, there's a schedule tab that has the basic schedule for the 2 days. Note the time zone differences, because we are a church that primarily exists over 4 time zones. Technically, it's more than that, because we have congregations in Alaska and Hawaii. So it's 6 or 7 time zones that we spread across.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that the folks in Hawaii are joining us early on Saturday morning, but you never know. Anyway, that's also where, if you go down through the schedule, there's some helpful hints for local gatherings, tech leaders, voting delegates, and about the exhibit hall. The tech training, I think this is where, this is where the recording from that tech training from March is. So that'll help the person who's setting up. And then just some more important information. I think most of this information is now duplicated on other pages of the website on this page. We've also shared some links in recent regional newsletters that go into more detail on some of the technical equipment and particularly on congregational delegates. There's some multi-page information packets that the General Church has put out. Those aren't, I've not found them on the website, but we've shared them in our newsletters, and our newsletters are posted on our website. If you can't find it, you can go to Upper Midwest and go to our newsletters and just look at either probably the most recent Disciples Together would have the most
Okay.
comprehensive list of resources. One more word about the technology. We're learning, but I think this is going to work, at least from a technology standpoint, really well. Will there be hiccups because it's the first time we're doing this? Yes, but I don't anticipate there'll be hiccups because of the technology. Both the platform seems to be able to hold way more bandwidth than we're going to require to have our gathering, first of all. And the other thing I would say is I slowly learn bits and pieces of who's on the tech team and some of their qualifications. And I believe one of them has experience in TV production for one of the primary networks doing sports, live sports events, but not just live sports events, but like I don't know if they're in the NFL, but you know how the NFL they have multiple games going at the same time, and they'll
Uh-huh.
come back to a central studio and then kick out to different locations. I think they've got somebody who's got that kind of experience, and that's what they're going to use. I think for like worship, because I don't think that all of the worship people will be in the same place. The last night, the plan was they will be in multiple locations around the United States and maybe Canada too. Um, I think there will be a primary production location where our general minister is and a couple other people, but then there'll be people in lots of other places. And frankly, that's an exciting thing. That's what we hope for this, that we're going to be able to participate from across the life of the church. I did just learn earlier this week that they are planning to have a dress rehearsal for host sites on June 18th. I believe that's next Thursday if I'm doing the math right. I didn't see a time on that. Um, so if you can get your information in by then your tech people, if they're available during that time. I've also noticed I did glance at the registration form. It does have a checkbox where if you'd like a one-on-one help to learn how to navigate the system, they'll do their best to provide that. Other questions? Well, nobody's asked about voting delegates yet, and I've heard that question many places, so I'm going to address it as best as I can. Um, how are voting delegates chosen? Each congregation chooses their own delegates. You don't need to choose your pastor if your pastor is a disciples minister because they already are a voting delegate of the General Assembly. But otherwise, you can elect or select up to 3 voting delegates from your congregation. You can report this to the church through the ALEX database. It's the same place where we do the annual reporting for the what used to be yearbook reporting, right? So that person in the congregation who has that login information can just input the congregational representatives in your congregation information. And if you have trouble, our regional office has the ability to do that for our congregations as well. And so you can I would recommend you contact Lisa Grace because she deals with ALEX much more often than I do, and she'll do it much more quickly than I will or me, and I'm happy to help as well. I know that the long-term hope is that congregations will basically add this position as an ongoing officer position in the congregation, and you'll just elect one person every year for a 3-year term. Now, I've heard, as have my colleagues, as have some people in the general church, that it is hard to get a 3-year commitment from some of our folks. And I get that. And I'll just say practically, fill up your up to 3 delegates however best you can. But long term, the hope is that we will start to identify people in our congregations and ministries that want to be better connected across the life of the church, and they'll serve for 3 years in this role from your congregation, not just one time. And I'll add that our region wants to support this. Our voting delegate model for regional business sessions follows this model, that each congregation gets 3 voting delegates in our region. And we didn't stipulate for any term limits. But if you wanted to do a 3-year term for each of them to match, I think you could use the same folks. And that'd be great. I learned today, this isn't posted anywhere yet. It was shared at the voting delegate information session last night. And I know that was recorded and it will be posted on one of the web pages probably by the end of the week. But the deadline for signing up your voting delegates is June 30th. And again, don't feel bad if you've not heard or seen that date. I've not seen it anywhere either. And I had not heard it until I was in a meeting with the other regional ministers and our general minister this afternoon. If you've never been to General Assembly, I hope that you will register and participate in this one. You don't have to be a voting delegate. You've never had to be a voting delegate to be a part of General Assembly. Our General Assemblies feature really great worship. I think that's the hallmark. Assembly in and assembly out. Inspiring preaching, a great variety, and such talented musicians leading the music. I think that'll be really rich. There'll be opportunities to learn about and connect with general ministries throughout the life of the church. There'll be some conversation opportunities, including one that I think is built into the schedule, the last I heard, to talk about issues facing the church. So we're not just sitting for a day and a half around and listening to others, but at some point we're going to share with each other. And there will be a business session. To my knowledge, there's one item on the business session, and that is an item that was referred by the 2025 General Assembly. It's the abbreviation for it is it's the time and place resolution, which is an abbreviated way of saying we need to approve the location for the hybrid General Assembly in 2028, the on-site location. That is public knowledge. The recommendation is that it will be in July of 2028. I don't remember the specific dates off the top of my head. In Chicagoland, one of the many suburbs of Chicago. I think out close to O'Hare is where they were leaning. And who knows, by the assembly, they may have the actual location firmed up for us to approve. So that's the business item. And more than that, as long as nobody else is asking questions, I do want to share this. I spend a lot of my time in spaces like this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't spend a lot of time online and in online meetings or online learning sessions or other types of online gatherings. It's the nature of my job and one of the gifts of technology that instead of getting quite so much dashboard time and windshield time in the regional car, I get a lot of online Zoom time and similar locations. I would just say that this is not an invitation for anybody to just stare at a screen for 2 whole days. That's not healthy, and you won't enjoy it. Even honestly, this afternoon I had 3 back-to-back 1-hour meetings, and what I've learned over the years is to do that, I have to make sure that I don't sit for the full hour at each of those meetings. That I get up and walk around, go refill my drink. Don't look at the screen for at least 5 minutes out of that hour. And so you want to make sure that you take breaks when I can after I've been on 3 hours of meetings. The weather forecast, the weather did not allow me to go outside. That's usually what I'll do. I'll go outside and walk around for a few minutes after I've been online for for an extended period of time. I would recommend that during these 2 days. Take some breaks. There are scheduled breaks. Take them. Have a phone conversation, chat with others that are around you. Go out and see the sunlight or look out the window if it's pouring down rain, whatever, see natural light. And the good thing about having a denomination that spreads across multiple time zones is that these are shorter days. So even if you do all of Saturday, I think that it's about 6 or 7 hours start to finish if you didn't take any breaks. So that's not quite the same as having to be focused on a screen for 12 hours or something like that. And for those of us, I don't know about you, Donna, but I mean, who've been to General Assembly many times, those are long days. When we've made the effort and paid the money to be there, I've always wanted to get my money's worth and get the church's money's worth, because usually it was a congregation or the region paying for me to be there, and I want to make sure to justify that expense. And so busy from breakfast through evening worship. But in an online setting, you don't have to be quite so go go go. In fact, you'll wear out pretty quick if you try to be go go go. I'm double checking my notes. Those were all of the questions I anticipated, all of the notes I had made about the changes and this new opportunity of our online 2026 General Assembly. One more chance if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. If not, thank you again. Thank you for learning more about this year's General Assembly. And you now will know what others will hopefully find out, that this has been recorded and will be available on our regional YouTube channel, probably either late tonight or sometime tomorrow. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening or whatever time of day it is right now.